Oh, howdy, folks. It is December 9th. Welcome to the OpenJS Security Collaboration Space slash Working Groups weekly Monday meeting. You can go to the OpenJS GitHub and see more about this meeting if you'd like to attend. We're a friendly group and appreciate visitors, so come on by. So a couple things to go through today. Yes, Ben, thank you for the CNA thing. That's another one to talk about. So what I was saying right before we started recording is about last week I started reaching out again to some maintainers. So John over at Lodash got back to me, and so I'm expecting he and I will probably meet up tomorrow evening. If it's not tomorrow evening, it'll be Thursday, but I'm expecting he and I to go over the checklist this week, so he'll be a good test run for that. Ulysses, if you're down for scheduling some time early in the morning, I'm happy to wake up I wake up early anyway because of my kids, so I'm awake at 6:30 regardless. But I can easily be at my desk at like 7:30. So we can go through the checklist together for Express. And Jordan, if you have time, since you're in California time, if you have time this week or next week for us to spend like an hour going through a checklist, or you can go through it yourself, frankly, because you like had a lot of inputs in it. That would give us like that core three to start, and that would be
Sure.
pretty awesome sauce for us. Would you like to meet up together, or do you want to just do yours like async?
Um, Probably both. I can give an async run through it, and then we can sit down and finish out whatever's left.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Sweet jumps. So, looking forward to that. Let's see. Next item. So CNA tasks. Um, I think there's honestly not much to do. It's just hasn't been top of mind for me, and I apologize for that. So, the handful of things left are we just need to go and actually just create the GitHub website really quick. We do. Um, Ben is blowing up my inbox right now with notifications. Just
Sorry,
like,
I was in there and I was like, we need to clean up this repo a little bit. So,
yeah,
shiny,
you're
shiny,
all,
but I'm done. Sorry.
you're all good. You're all good. They're just coming like at lightning speed. So let's see let's see. I'll go click on the link and we can maybe share screens really quick. Hmm. Yeah, here we can just share it. Screen. Can you all see my screen right now? Okay, cool. My Mac like got really weird for a second. Um, so um, the website that lists security repositories, that was the website I was talking about. We're just maintaining it in GitHub pretty simply. Um, Creating the website itself and DNS CNAME is actually the easy part of that process. We have the mailing lists. I'm not sure, Ben, if that actually just got done or not.
Uh, yeah, so I've been pinging you in this one. I just need to know about the permissions on it, and then I can
Oh,
create it. So look at
okay.
if you want to open this one up, you'll see the comments.
Okay, cool. And it looks like I think everybody's taking the initial training. Oh, I see. Public private. Yeah. Sorry for not seeing that. I will follow up with those today then, so
Okay,
we can
cool.
just get that done. Um, yeah, and Ulysses, if you want, we can you if I don't if you want to talk about how we could use your website thing to do that, that would be cool if you want to help out with it. I think the hard part is actually the annoying part is just configuring the GitHub website itself so that it we can put a CNAME to it and things like that, which the GitHub documentation is more confusing than it should be on something that's simple. But yeah, if you want to help out with that once I create the repo and all that, that would be cool.
We also need to reply to the Red Hat CNA folks. They've emailed a few times. And they only emailed me and Rudd and Ulysses directly, I believe.
Oh,
Like,
I have not seen those emails. Okay, I will
yeah,
go check
they've
those out
sent
as
two
well.
now. I didn't want to
Okay.
reply, and I just sort of was waiting quietly, just but
Okay. Thanks for the ping
yeah,
on that, Jordan.
no
Yeah,
problem.
I must have missed those emails. So yeah,
Yep.
we
And
can do some cleanup on that today.
I'm also going to be doubling up the onboarding I do for OpenJS is just going to also serve as my onboarding for my own personal CNA as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that for both reasons.
Gotcha. Cool
Red,
beans. All right. Well,
let's double check the emails they're using. Like it's really because I know you've got like the Linux contractor one and then your personal one. So we got to
mhm.
make sure that you're seeing these things.
Yeah, I think the fix for this is going to be the mailing list. Once we have that in place, I think
Yeah.
that'll help make
And this
things
was indeed
standardized.
emailed to your contractor.lf email, Rudd.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. So I will go clean that up this afternoon then, so we can get that back in good shape and not be ghosting them anymore. So thanks for the call on that, Jordan. I appreciate it. Cool. So, the last item I had before open it to the floor is that wanted to ask what people's expectations around this meeting for around the holidays would be. So we're in December 9th right now, and we have looking at December, it looks like we have the 16th, and then after the 16th, there's the 23rd, and then there's the 30th. I'm not sure how you all did this last year during the holidays, um, but I was wondering, kind of, get your all's thoughts on how we wanted to do this for end of year stuff.
Yeah, I would expect that we would not hold community meetings those 2 weeks.
Mm.
Do want to flag for this group that our security training from for us and Socket will be coming in hot. So maybe that's something that folks want to review async that would be helpful for the end of the year.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that it's coming in. So cool. So it sounds like then we can aim for having one more meeting on the 16th, and then we will pause for the 23rd and the 30th. Um, do we, to be honest, if we could also not have one on the 6th, I won't be able to attend that one because I will be getting back from vacation the day before on the 5th, so I won't be really well prepared for that one. Oh, the 6th is a holiday in Spain. So if you all are cool, then we can also um, do skip the 6th and then we can get things started back again on the 13th. Is that okay?
I'd like to keep that Monday, the 6th, after being gone for 2 weeks. So why don't we just keep that, Rudd, call in if you can. But I think we'll all be a little post-holiday, but I think it's good to reconnect, so.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, what is the holiday, Ulysses?
Mhm.
I think the translation for that in English will be something like Epiphany or something like that. Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's like it's a day like we give a lot of like presents to kids and stuff like that, the night from the 6th to the 7th kind of thing. So yeah, it's a holiday basically, like a big
okay,
holiday in
cool.
Spain.
All right,
Fine.
cool. And we can keep the 6th then. And so cool. Um, with that, oh, all right. I clicked the link so I can go read about it later. Um, cool. Anything else that folks have for the agenda today?
Ulysses, I saw. Oh, and you raised your hand as well. Maybe we're going to talk about the same thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Well, I haven't had a chance to go through my Slacks from over the weekend, but I saw something from you and wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to chat about some of your updates.
Yeah, basically, in terms of the dashboard on the website, basically, I made a release for the website that now is pulling the data from the dashboard tables directly. So you have like all the checks included in the tables, not in a JSON file as before. So we officially move away from the spreadsheet that we used it previously. Now we have the option in the website to include like manual additions to the text, like for example, how to guide or how we are doing the queries and stuff like that. And it's auto refreshing with whatever we have in the database, so you can have both the data and data entries together. I'm still working on the dashboard. I made huge progress during the weekend and stuff like that, but I want to formalize that in a proper milestones. But there is, if you want to have an idea of what's going on right now, I think I have. Let me share. Let me 1 second find the link. I have a contributing guideline ready, so you can have an idea of what's going on. So here, for example, I already provided the tooling and stuff to add more checks. So basically, the idea also is to try this out with the community soon. So basically, people from the community can add some checks and help us doing the research on how to do the validations with the data that we already have. In terms of data, we already have like GitHub API for organization, repositories, and stuff like that. There are some stuff missing, obviously, but I will provide that like in a full milestone details. But my request now is like, if we plan to have a meeting next week, there is any chance that we can have one meeting like after the security working group meeting from Express, just for the people who want to contribute to this, to the dashboard in terms of technical contributions. So I can do like a full overview on how this works and stuff like that. So we can easily onboard new people for that. Because some of the people who want to be involved, like Carlos and Inigo, basically they told me that they want to work probably during the Christmas holidays. So my idea is like to prepare that scenario so anyone who want to contribute can do it. Basically, and we can record that session as well, so it can be a good, useful guidelines for the contributing guidelines, so it's easier for onboard new people after that, or even if people cannot join to that meeting, if
Yeah,
that
it
makes
sounds
sense.
awesome, Ulysses. Yeah, let's do that. Is that a good regular time to have the biweekly anyway to get that started, or do you want to think of that as more of a one-off?
I think we can start the bi-weekly and keep it that way. I mean, obviously, we are not going to have much of these meetings until January, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, starting now and just keep it that and keeping a discussion later on if see if we need to move it or not. But that we do have it in the agenda, so that's a good option.
Awesome. Sounds great. That's really cool. Is
Fantastic.
there anything you want to kind of like display or show right now just to kind of show people where you're at or
Mostly I'm working on, let me see. I have a milestone like half cook. So let me see. If you have a look to this milestone, I mean to this issue, which issue number 30 on the dashboard, I'm working right now on this. So you have like the main goals on how to move from the POC to the MVP version. And now I'm like polishing the backlog. So most of the things on this backlog are already completed. But I need to move some of the PRs to the correct milestones and make the checks and stuff. But yeah, that's the idea. Basically, you have the main goals. There are room for a lot of improvements, ideas, and stuff. So feel free to add more ideas. Hopefully, I have this ready by the end of my day, which is going to be like in a few hours. So you can have a full overview. I will send a message on the security channel with this is full detail. But yeah, that's going to be like the next step in terms of discussion, high level agreements, product, and all of that. So we can all participate and collect feedback.
awesome. This is great, Ulysses. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Any other items?
So for the dashboard, what would be really cool is, I don't know if this should go into the Nerd Corner meeting, or can you talk about the infrastructure side of things, how you want to host it, the rollout, the deployment, the DevOps side of things for the dashboard? That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, we can do I mean, in the technical session, we can go deeper on that. But for now, there is an option. I mean, we have like everything Dockerized. So basically you can run your own Postgres instance locally. You have a cheats scripts and a lot of things. So even for developing new things, you don't need to have any super special access. You already have a seeds data, the same that the GitHub API using the documentation. So it's kind of familiar. So in terms of the checks and stuff, I already created some infrastructure, like basic database. I have an Azure account that has some like subscription included some cloud credits and stuff because I'm on a Microsoft MVP. So I have like some resources that we can use for now. And basically, my next step is to try to validate like complex process, which is going to be, for example, running the scorecard against the repositories, like clone the repositories and run against those repositories like the scorecard or like secret scanners, stuff like that we discussed last time. And the idea from that is to move the results of that generation to that deployment, I mean, to that development slash staging slash production database outside so we can start to connect some infrastructure. But yeah, we probably don't need for now like a compute resources for do that because we can use like some local machines or whatever that they have. But maybe in the future, we want to organize this a little bit better. So probably when we do the jump from the MVP to the product state, maybe that's a good moment to thinking on how it's going to be like the final infrastructure, especially thinking on this deeper analysis that we don't know yet, like how much is going to take, because a lot of projects are kind of easy. Like for example, the Express repositories like has a long history, but not as long and as huge as Node.js, for example, main repository, which is a massive thing. Even just downloading is like take you like 10 minutes just to do a Git clone, right? So it's a lot of layers. But we have also the opportunity to know how is the size from every repository, and we already know that information. So we can predict like how much based on that in terms of time, compute, and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, the infrastructure part. So, but definitely is going to be part of the technical discussion next week.
Yeah, sounds actually like quite the amount of fun. In terms of like data engineering, this whole thing, I understood that you wanted to do that only at the sort of like later point where you want to have some kind of like production deployment, and at sort of building a data pipeline, if it's like in Terraform or Ansible or something like that, it's not like super difficult, but if you want to run this for 1,000 projects or something, it's also not like it's kind of its own project,
Yep.
which I think is also like coming with its own challenges, and it's interesting to build infrastructure for that that kind of scale, as you mentioned with npm. Just sort of getting the repo and running all the checks and whatnot is probably like not so easy. So yeah, okay, cool. We can have that chat then, I guess.
Tobias, for context, we've migrated a lot of the infrastructure for all of our OpenJS projects over to the Linux Foundation, and we've consolidated partners and now have partnership agreements with a number of vendors. So Azure is providing that for us, and we have the Linux Foundation IT folks who can assist. And Ulysses is pretty familiar with all the folks from his work on what
Awesome. Yep.
Express and build. So yeah, let's see how we can help there.
Can you share like a little bit about this sort of like human operational API in terms of if you go with a container to Linux infrastructure team and just tell them, hey, can we run this at, I don't know, like large scale? Is that already enough, or do they kind of, require a more like thought out and fleshed out infrastructure deployment?
I think we should start like a discussion with them once we are clear, like in terms of computation, like how heavy is this. So from that on, we can just involve the people and see like how we want to probably do that. I mean, in terms of infrastructure, they can provide a lot of infrastructure, but I think it's up to us to define like how this is going to be executed, right? In terms of making it scalable for them, basically. But yeah, it's going to be like a good discussion with them in terms of resources, in terms of how we are going to use that, if it's something flexible or not, or these kind of things. So yeah, probably there is a room to build pipelines and stuff like that from our side, and then ask them for how to host them and deploy them. But yeah, our idea, just to make it easy for now, is try to keep everything running on containers or something like that. So the portability is granted. So that way, when we move to any kind of infrastructure, it's not a big drama from our side.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Benjamin, that specific link that you just sent was right on point what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
All right, well, that was super informative. Anything else for today? I appreciate the great attendance as always and how interactive and collaborative this meeting is. So great job, folks. Oh, Tobias, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a question of taste, but I'd like to sort of at least raise the Ultralytics supply chain attack at least briefly to make sure that everyone in the security group is aware of like that this happened, and here's a link because we're a little bit early on time and attackers don't sleep over Christmas, so I think it's maybe good to have a quick chat about, okay, has this been reviewed? There's also like this really awesome article from colleague. We can look more into this, kind of making sure that we keep track of software supply chain attacks that are happening live in the security group. That's why I'm sharing this.
The Ultralytics one is it is pretty impressive actually that somebody found that. And
Yeah. Yeah, Google Colab team. Probably in runtime, some alarm went off. It kind of relates a little bit to the infrastructure question, which I was raising earlier in terms of, okay, like for OpenJS repositories, checking that at scale. For example, with the Zismore tool or any other tool that mitigates or checks for these kind of vulnerabilities. If there's thoughts from the group on how to actually deploy that. So my TLDR on this vulnerability is that GitHub Actions are almost like notorious for leading to compromise of CI/CD pipelines. And I guess there's quite a bunch of like cool tooling and approaches of, sort of reviewing any PR that goes into a GitHub action before it actually goes into the GitHub action and whatnot. So I think there's progress in the community, in the security community on actually mitigating those. But I think, yeah, you're like only a
I mean, I think the other problem is there's been a strong push for a couple of years to put everything in CI, including publishing and deploying and all those things. And there's certainly good reasons for that, but also like once you do that, now CI goes from an environment that doesn't actually matter if it's compromised because it's just validating things to an environment that is persistent, in an automated fashion can be probed and can lead to actual meaningful attacks. So it's pretty much as soon as you put an action that can be destructive into CI, you have to look over every aspect of your workflows, even things that never mattered before.
100%. So trading complexity against complexity there is, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I don't know how relevant this is to OpenJS or Express.js. I thought about, okay, bringing it up in this meeting just to make sure that you can think about it. Maybe we have like the next Express.js a chat about, okay, where should those checks run? What is kind of like the minimal number of repos where we want to make sure that the sort of actions are not misconfigured and allow for these kind of like compromises. So yeah, is there thoughts on that maybe?
When we were working through the compliance guidelines, there are items um, related to GitHub Actions and reviewing, and specifically around, if I recall correctly, um, making sure they're configured correctly, doing some sort of vetting on what they do. But the challenge here, of course, and having them properly configured to begin with, the challenge, of course, is that there's not a ton of tooling to automate this process, and so it's extremely manual. And the tooling like this that does exist is commercial, and it isn't necessarily always focused on GitHub Actions itself. It's focused on more robust commercial tooling. So I think there is a big gap in the market on how to assess GitHub actions in a safe way. There are some things out there, but I think it's a very manual process, and I think that's a big part of the challenge here. It just seems like a problem that needs like a button with a magic security box to do some sort of vetting. Ulysses?
Yeah, maybe making an inventory of the dependencies that we have on the GitHub Actions makes sense. So that way, when there is like a known vulnerability or something like that, we can just do a fast see if it's included in one of the projects or something like that. Maybe that makes sense. I'm the same, like not related to that, but maybe another option now that we will have the option in the dashboard to, for example, clone the project and execute things on them. One of the things is maybe we want to do an inventory of the licenses, which is a little bit tricky. So I think I developed a similar tool like in the past, and we can use that, for example, to build an inventory of the type of licenses that we have in the package JSON for your sub dependencies and so on. So basically, we can look for weird dependencies and stuff like that and list them. Because sometimes it's super hard to track. And also some of those dependencies change over the time, right? Because we don't always use exact version, which actually is not recommended to use exact version on the libraries, right? So you might inherit changes on licenses where you are not aware of, basically, because it's in a sub dependency or whatever. So that might be a little bit tricky scenario, but a different problem to solve. But yeah, talking about inventories, maybe these kind of things make sense in a long term.
Yeah, it's a good call out, Ulysses. I think you're right. Um, cool. Any other thoughts on this? All right. Ben, Robin, any other items
Sorry,
to oh, go
can you
ahead,
hear me?
Tobias.
Sorry, I think my audio was off for a while. My microphone just like lost its battery. Um, so yeah, a little bit earlier to the discussion, from what you were saying, Adam. I think it's important as a security professional. I have this philosophy of not bringing stuff where there's no solution, right? So in terms of, okay, what happens with GitHub Actions? What Jordan said. What I'm trying to say here is, okay, there is new tooling to actually mitigate those types of attacks. Otherwise, I would not kind of like bother the group with kind of like a new threat where there's no solution for, right? Um, I think if you guys look at that tool this more and figure out, hey, this is something that we want to run, then I think it attaches well to this whole kind of like infrastructure discussion, in terms of, okay, how can those tools be deployed at larger scale to detect early, okay, here's a misconfiguration of GitHub action because like this stuff actually has a solution in the meantime. That's kind of the good news, right? And yeah, if you're like interested, then what sort of how I define what I'm trying to achieve here is I want to make sure that you're like looking at all the kind of compliance issues, yes, but also at like more recent emerging threats. And we could look at one more if you're interested in that, because I heard that people are becoming CNAs. And if you're a CNA, there's also like some issues with that, but we can also like talk about that in the next week. Depends on how you all feel about that. If you want to go for another kind of like threat model.
What do you think that would involve? I'm intrigued. Um, could you walk us through more what you're imagining?
Sure. So I mean, like this is an article I'm working on this with Seth Larson. He wrote this article, Slop Security Reports, and with Madison Oliver from GitHub, right? And you're like, if someone feels inclined to work on AI generated reports with the objective to overwhelm CNAs, then you are very welcome to join that effort, right? The idea is very basic that the cost of producing vulnerability reports has decreased by many orders of magnitudes with LLMs, but the cost to verify a report has not reduced in the same, Jordan can probably talk about like how much time it actually takes to validate vulnerability reports. And I think this is something that for especially for CNAs is important to be aware of, that there is an angle of just sending lots and lots of fake reports when an actual vulnerability is supposed to be disclosed and needs to be managed, right? And Seth here talks about this yeah, this problem from his personal angle in the Python world. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
this
that's
is. Go ahead, Tobias.
yeah, I think that's for me kind of like job done. If you're
Mm.
have some awareness of these issues, then you can think about, okay, if you're interested in learning more about any of that on any of these, then we can like chat about them at a later point. I would just want to make sure that sort of the very recent developments are arriving at this group.
Yeah, these are great call outs, dude. Thank you very much. I'm definitely going to read through the links. I have them all saved here in my browser to make sure they don't get lost in the sauce. And maybe we can follow from there on after folks have a chance to review these on kind of what kind of discussion we want to have around them.
Mhm.
I think this last one in particular around security reports and all that's really relevant to me. Tobias, we haven't maybe done full intros before, but I spent most of my career in bug bounty triage and SAST and DAST triage professionally. So I couldn't agree more on the cost of that kind of activity and how we can make these sorts of things easier for um, maintainers who do not have the time to do this stuff as much as a corporation does. So yeah, this is cool.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
are welcome, Adam. Happy to like talk more about that and the specifics of how that might change, how that is currently changing, and what to do about it. Yeah, if you're interested in joining of the any of the initiatives that's going on there, DM me, and everyone else also happy to talk more in depth after you had a chance to review those. And again, like I don't bring sort of just security problems for the fun of it, but usually I
Yeah.
come some idea of, okay, this is not catastrophic, but there's ways of doing something about it.
Yeah, this is awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will take you up on that for sure.
You are very
Um,
welcome. Nice.
yeah. Let's see. Anything else, folks? This has been a good.
Yeah, just
We've hit a lot of
one.
different topics today. Oh, Robin,
Yeah,
sorry.
just one update. Our application for Sovereign Tech Fund for 2025, they had a couple of follow-up series of questions. The last series we answered the week of Thanksgiving week. They asked a lot about use cases, which, our technology is pretty much used everywhere, but we do have some case studies here and in Germany. They asked for some more details on our milestones and other things. So that was shipped Thanksgiving week, and it's before their expert review panel. That panel's on their website. So hopefully we'll hear back soon. If it doesn't get funded, we'll fund it other ways at the foundation, but I'm pretty optimistic. Let's see.
Well, I'm hoping for the best, Robin. It's been really cool working with you all and seeing how this world works. So yeah, I'm happy that we're continuing with Alpha Omega, and if there's more that we can do on top of that, that'd be awesome. So
Yeah, Alpha Omega's been amazing support. Grown leaps and bounds with those folks. So
that's really cool.
yeah. Okay.
All righty. Um, anything else, folks? We've covered a lot of different ground today, so this has been an interesting one. Nope. Okay. Well, all I'll say is I hope you all are having a blast preparing for the holidays. My family and I had a lovely Thanksgiving. It's now cold here, so it feels like winter cold. It's in the 50s. And yeah, I'm looking forward to an awesome next year and excited for what's to come. So thank you everybody for the contributions here, and see you next week in our final meeting in 2024. So with that, toodles, folks, and there's a lot of follow-up actions while we following up with folks in Slack and stuff today and tomorrow. So thank you so
Everyone.
much.
Yep.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Toodles.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.